Okay, mics are on, tape is on.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Sunshine Law. Notice of time, date, and place has been furnished to the Bergen Record and the Ridgewood News. Notice has also been posted on a bulletin board of the Administration Building. Will the clerk kindly take the roll?
Mayor Giordano.
Here.
Mr. Bjork.
Here.
Ms. Saracola.
Here.
Mr. Ritchie.
Here.
Mr. Schaaf.
Here.
Mr. Shalero.
Here.
Mrs. Sherman.
Here.
Everyone kindly rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag. Let us have a moment of silence for all our Waldeck veterans and all veterans all across our country who have given the ultimate sacrifice to keep us free so we could assemble the way we are tonight. Clerk, kindly do the prayer.
We thank you for everyone gathered here now. Thank you that you know each of us by name and have caused us to walk with you. We say that we are dependent on you and our trust is in you completely. As we surrender ourselves in adoration, we ask that you would come by your Holy Spirit and inspire our hearts today. Come fill our lives with your love, fill our conversations with your grace and truth, fill this meeting with your presence. We ask this for your glory and praise. Amen.
Amen. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our council meeting. Under my report, I have a couple of items. First of all, on June 8th, we had our concert in the park, our second concert of the series of this year, and it was a very good concert. A lot of people enjoyed it. Our next one will be tomorrow if the rain holds out. On June 15th, I attended the promotion ceremony of the Waldeck Middle School. On June 15th at night, with members of the council, we attended the Waldeck High School graduating ceremony on the football field. On June 8th, I'd like to thank the council who attended the Ted Bell Park rededication ceremony. And I'd like to talk a little bit about Ted Bell. A lot of us didn't know who he was. A lot of us learned a lot from his family when we met with them on Saturday. And I think everyone should know that the Ted Bell Park that is now here in Waldeck or rededicated, why it came to be. Ted Bell was a resident of the borough of Waldeck. While he was a resident, he tried to talk with the DOT to build a cloverleaf from the existing and entering Route 17, where a pedestrian bridge to cross over Route 17. The project caused many Waldeck residents to become upset and involved in advocating to achieve the best design with the least impact to the people, their properties, and to ensure that both sides of the borough along Route 17 were not further separated. Sheridan Avenue had become a very busy road, and he appealed to the DOT to do this. He had petitions signed. He had residents walk the streets with their children to let everyone know that something like this has to be done. Finally, they got a traffic count, and they found out that they do need a traffic light there. So what they did was they put a traffic light at Sheridan Avenue and Prospect where he wanted this place to be. And after that, he was approached by the governing body to see if he would want to run for council. Since he did a great job as a citizen, they felt that he could do a lot more on the council. He accepted, and in the 1970s, he was a councilman. While he was a councilman, he helped bring Burger King, Friendly's, and Matthew's Diner here into town. He was also very instrumental with the overpasses that we have in our community. He loved the borough very much, and in 1986, they dedicated the park to him for all he has done for the community. 36 years later, we've rededicated the park to him on Saturday. His three daughters were here. His wife, unfortunately, couldn't make it, but they were very pleased and honored to have the park rededicated after him. They also, while they were here, walked around the neighborhood. They went to their old home where they lived. I think Don met them in the street. And they went to Matthew's Diner for lunch. So they were very happy with what we have done for them and for the Ted Bell family and for his name. It was a very nice day, and as we have been seeing, it's very hard to get into that park. It's a very popular park, and a lot of people like to use it. So if you haven't seen what has been done, please go there, and you'll be very impressed about what has been done. I'd like to thank Matt. He was very instrumental with this. He did a very good job in getting everything that we have in there. It's not completed yet. We're still in the process of getting things put in there. A sign has to be put in dedicating it to Ted Bell. Also, we have handicap benches coming, picnic benches coming in, and a regular bench coming in, and other things that'll make the park complete. So as the process or the project comes to be, everyone will know what goes on with it. Also, on June 18th, I attended an Eagle Scout ceremony where 2 Eagle Scouts were honored. One was Timothy Porfido, and one was Brendan Post. Brendan Post graduated from Waldeck High School, class of 2021. He is currently attending the University of Massachusetts Amherst. He's double majoring in environmental science and natural resources conservation. During his time at Waldeck High School, he made an impact as a member of the Student Council President and executive producer of Waldeck Broadcast Center. His Eagle Scout project was creating a meditation garden and pollination garden here in Waldeck. He was very proud of it. He did a great job with it, and he is going to keep up the project. He let us know that he will make sure that the project continues to go. He'll make sure that he waters stuff, plants stuff, and he's going to try to see if other scouts could help him with this project. The next gentleman was Tim Porfido. He's been in a scout since he was 4 years old. He came from a long line of exceptional Waldeck residents. His great-grandfather was Angelo Beal, who was the chief of the fire department, and he was also a member of the Lions Club. He was also given the honor of being the 1991 Waldeck Citizen of the Year. Tim is an all-league baseball player for Bergen Tech, a member of the National Honor Society, and has been a leader in many capacities for Troop 88. His Eagle Scout project merged 2 of his passions. One was baseball and services. What he did was he realized that in the baseball dugouts, they really don't have any equipment racks. All they do is throw the balls, the bats, and everything on the floor. So what he did was he designed baseball racks, or equipment racks, as he calls it, for the Anderson Field at Borough Park. And when he graduates next year, Tim plans to study mechanical engineering in college. It was a very nice ceremony. A lot of the family members were there. Yesterday, myself, Kelly, and our administrator, Patrick, met with the Junior Police Academy. They were here asking questions. They were asking questions about different things about the town. And one young girl came up with a very good question, and I think Kelly had the answer for it. Kelly tried to explain about the light in the woods and what the emblem of our town stands for. And the girl came forward and said that she thinks that the candle is the shape of the borough of Waldeck.
The light.
The light
Shape.
is the shape of Waldeck.
And it is.
And we had to check it out, and she was right. So that's something that this young girl told us, which is very good, and that's why I try to explain to them what you're doing is doing a lot of good stuff for not only the community, but for everyone else. Also, when tomorrow we have, as I said, the concert, and on Saturday I will be performing a wedding for a resident in Waldeck. That's all I have to report right now. Administrative and Financial Committee, Mr. Scalera.
Thank you, Mayor. So this past week was a scheduled meeting of the Northwest Region of the Bergen County Community Development Grant Program. And as a reminder, what that is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development gives grant money to each state for community development programs, and there's a set of criteria that go with it. The state then divides the money up among the counties in New Jersey. In Bergen County, they've divided the county into regions where each region gets to appropriate the funds in our region. So we're part of the Northwest region with 11 or 12 other towns. And essentially, we review the amount of money that's allocated to our region and match it up with the requests that are in. We have a request, an application in for a project to improve the Bonner Place Road in town. So unfortunately, the meeting was postponed because we didn't have a quorum. So what we're hoping is it'll be rescheduled sometime soon. I didn't get a notice since the last meeting was canceled. But our intent is to move forward with our application. The total cost of the project is about $164,000, and we're hoping to get most of that covered by this grant. So when we have a better update, we'll provide that, but that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Fire and Police Protection Committee, Councilwoman Ziricola.
Thank you, Mayor. For the fire department, they ended May with 18 calls of service. They also attended the borough's Memorial Day Parade. So far for June, they responded to 15 calls, 5 of them being mutual aid. One of them was a 4-alarm house fire in Allendale. In June, they also attended the high school graduation for one of their members that graduated. And this past week, they have a representative from the company that we ordered new rescue struts from to put them in service. Additionally, on June 7th, I attended the first Fire Truck Exploratory Committee meeting where the team spent time identifying potential trucks to visit and see in person. I'm looking forward to seeing how the research process progresses. As for the police department, on June 10th, Waldeck was honored to have the Special Olympics torch run pass through our town. Our police officers escorted the torch through town, and Chief Messner provided me with a great video of the handoff that I will post on my Facebook. This week kicks off the Waldeck Junior Police Academy, which the mayor just mentioned, and it concludes on Friday with a graduation ceremony. The borough had great success with this program last year, and I'm sure the same will be true this week. Finally, Chief Messner wanted to extend the department's gratitude for the professional cleaning of the air duct over the weekend. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Councilman Schatz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to report on the ambulance corps this month. I have the call sheet here, and they had 50 calls. And they also attended the graduation and were there attending the graduation. They also had during this month, they also had a school open house in which they had a very good turnout, and they have prospective five new members. They also attended the Memorial Day Parade. And I also noticed that the captain and the first lieutenant are here tonight. I think they're going to ask the council for a request. So we'll hear from them a little bit later. I'll do the other one, the planning board and the environmental and in open.
Okay. Thank you. Recreation and Health Committee, Councilman Sherman.
Thank you. I went by the Waldeck Pool today. It's open and being enjoyed by the patrons. I spent some time with the lifeguards, talking to them about how things are going over there. They said it's going very well, and everyone seems to be enjoying it. They were a little slow today, but they're busier on the weekends. Registration is ongoing and being accepted right at the pool. The lifeguards are processing the registrations. More information's on the website. Registration is currently open for the Waldeck swim team. We're approving an assistant swim coach today who happens to be a lifeguard at the pool. Check the website for the registration form. The lifeguards all had their matching uniforms on, and they looked fantastic. They all have red swimsuits and shirts, and they look great. They're easily identifiable to our residents. Swim lessons have started this week, and they are going well. It's a light turnout this week, but the guards told me the first session is always light, and they asked me to remind residents that they could sign up their children, and the information's on the website. The grounds of the pool also look very good. I noticed the DPW did some cleaning of the fence, and I'm very grateful that that was done, and I'm sure our patrons noticed how clean it looks. Borough Park, I was through there today as well. The beautification committee planted some bulbs and flowers that were donated to us by a resident. We planted them by the big boulders, so hopefully they'll last and again grow next year. The bike trail is a mess. I'm wondering if we could get the power sweeper through there, the street sweeper. It's just covered in goose droppings. And also the bench directly next to the cupola is covered in poison ivy and growth, so no one can use that bench unless they want to catch poison ivy. The growth actually along the bike path looks fantastic. There's high vegetation growth, and it really looks good, so I applaud the DPW in that. I'm being sincere in saying it looks really nice. The meadow, as I call it, below the the small gazebo, it could use a little bit of a trim, but again, there's pretty flowers growing in there, and it looks actually pretty, but I want to remind the DPW that there are plantings that were done on the hill leading up to the gazebo on both sides of the hill, so hopefully they don't ride their mowers over it. Tomorrow night, hopefully, we have Tim Geisen performing at Borough Park at 7 o'clock. He's very popular and has a big following of people. And he's a Waldwick resident, so come out and enjoy his show. Hometown Radio, I was unable to attend the concert on June 8th, but my friends told me that it was a really great concert and they enjoyed it and they were thankful for the borough for providing that. Congratulations to the boys baseball team for winning North 1 Group 1 state championship. I'm very happy for that team. They worked hard to achieve that goal, and it was a good send-off for the seniors. Congratulations to all the recent graduates, and I want to wish all the children a happy and safe summer. And one last item, congratulations to Waldwick resident Rashawn Markman, who came in 7th at the College Nationals for the triple jump, jumping 15.01 meters, which equates to 49 feet 3 inches. And he also came in 2nd in the long jump and was part of the 4x100 meter relay team for Salisbury University. He was named an All-American, and he was also named Rookie of the Year. So congratulations to Rashawn Markman. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works Committee, Councilman Ritchie.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, the DPW is right now down a couple guys, so they're trying to do what they can to maintain. Some of you driving down Prospect over the last couple weeks may have noticed a water valve that was being replaced. That was the first chance I had to actually see one of those jobs done. It's a pretty big job. They were out there on a Friday night, I think, for quite a long time on the 10th, fixing that. So they had to cut a massive hole in the middle of the street, essentially fix that valve, cover it up, and then come back and kind of get it ready for patching. So they've been doing a number of those. Borough Park, they thought they had a leak as well, and that's been patched up. I've heard from just pretty much every friend of my children and parent that the kids are really loving the slide that the DPW put in at Borough Park. So I hope they know the impact that they're having on the community. That was a big job, I know. Probably more than, I know it was more than they thought they were signing up for. So kudos to them for doing that. And they've been trying to maintain the park, kind of get the pool open, help with that as well. And obviously we have I think the road program starting in early August. So they're eager to get back down to fixing the catch basins so that's all ready as we move on to the road programs. That's all I have in my report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Building and Grounds Committee, Councilman Bjork.
Thank you. A lot of these have been mentioned already, but I'll just say, as Councilman Ritchie just said, we'll be doing the resolutions awarding the paving later tonight. Attended the Ted Bell dedication with a couple other council members, had a very nice day there, got a chance to chat with the 3 daughters and their husband, and they live down in Berkeley Heights, so it's really not all that far, but it's been a long time since they've been up here, and I'm really glad we did that for the family. We'll be talking about the Goose Patrol. I had a meeting over there at Borough Park a couple weeks back, and I think there was 4 or 5 committee members, and as luck would have it, there was about 32 geese that attended the meeting as well, so it was pretty ironic. Went to the graduation as well. Was thankful for some cloud cover, and happy all the graduates made it safely through the grad ball and all that other fun and games that evening, and I was really impressed by the valedictorian. I thought he gave a great speech. As far as finalizing the language for the proposed storage space addition off the shooting range, Craig and I have been working on that with an attorney from our Lions Club. I hope we'll have something ready for the council to consider at the next meeting. We're also going to discuss an ordinance about abandoned property, and essentially this is to assist our clerk and people that are trying to foreclose on properties. We're going to have to maintain a list. I believe it's some type of a new state law. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Borough Administrator Patrick.
No report. Thank you, Mayor.
Clerk Kelly.
Thank you, Mayor. Just call your attention to Resolution 2022-228. These are the final two liquor license renewals, and we have no issues with those. Resolution 2022-229 is the raffle license for the Lions Club amusement games at the Family Days Carnival in August. Resolution 2022-231, this is the appointment of Tatiana Marquis to my office. We are hopefully fortunate to have Tatiana come on board as a well-trained and seasoned municipal employee for our borough. We have a lot to do and a lot to accomplish, so we are thrilled to have her. Park and Ride renewals are ongoing, and our wait list is growing quickly with about 40 people on the list. It's a far cry from the 300 we had before COVID, but still it's growing pretty quickly. Pat and I are working with New Jersey Transit to come up with some better solutions to parking at the train station. Pool membership reminder that if you were a member of the pool last year, once you renew, you'll be utilizing your same pool IDs for this year. I'm printing out IDs for new members, and at the end of the day, bringing those to the pool. So there's quite a large stack for members, new members who recently joined. Your badges or your ID cards are up at the pool. Going on to elections, I really want to thank the Waldwick poll workers. The borough is extremely fortunate, and you probably wouldn't know this because it's not something you have to deal with, but there are a lot of towns who don't have seasoned poll workers. There are, quite honestly, some towns who the poll workers don't show up, and then the clerks end up having to open the polls until the county can get somebody there. We are extremely fortunate that we have seasoned poll workers, and we also have some new poll workers, and they all seem to be able to work together really well, and they make my life a lot easier at the end of the night. So I just really want to give them a shout out and thank them for all that they do on Election Day, because it does make my life easier. I also want to thank the Board of Education for the custodial staff. They are always there early. They have everything set up for us, and then they break everything down at night. And any questions we have during the day, they are more than accommodating to us, so I really want to thank them. I did certify the county committee candidates for the primary election yesterday. It was important to wait until all the votes were counted. We have early voting now, so there's early voting tallies. We have vote-by-mail tallies that we have to wait for the county to count. And then we also have the provisional ballots, which are done last. So that was all taken care of, and I was able to certify yesterday. We also had 2 write-in candidates for council on the Democratic side, and the council acceptance and declination forms were sent to both of those write-ins by the county, and they have until, I believe it's the 27th, to get those forms back to the county with a copy to me. Just so you're aware, I have contacted the Board of the Bergen County election officials. I'll be working with them shortly to relocate our polling places out of the schools. The schools are not available to us in November at all due to construction, and the high school could be out for even longer. I think this is the time to make this change and make it permanent, and so that we can find suitable borough-owned buildings to use to hold our elections going forward. I'll continue to update you as I go through this process. I've been through this process before in a different county. Each county handles it a little bit different, although there's statutes that dictate some of it. There's a lot of notification that goes out to people, but this is the time to make that change. So I'll be meeting with them shortly, and I will keep you informed as I go on. And I just want to congratulate all the graduates, and best of luck to each of you in your future endeavors. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Grant Administrator, Matthew.
Thank you, Mayor. As previously pointed out, we have 2 awards for paving awards tonight. 1 award for Frederick Street and Harrison Avenue for roughly $208,000, and 1 award for East Prospect Street for $405,000 about. The public may see those numbers and say, wow, that's a lot of money to be spending on roads. So I think it's important to let the public know that the majority of these funds are being covered by grants. For Frederick Street and Harrison Avenue, $114,000 was provided by the Community Development Block Grant. And for East Prospect Street, we used 2 years of DOT money. In 2021, we were awarded $205,000, and in 2022, $211,000. So for East Prospect Street, the entire construction portion is covered by the grants. Additionally, along that theme, we also have our resolution tonight to submit a grant for the DOT 2023 application, which would be used for Hudson Avenue. That's all.
Thank you. Borough Attorney Craig.
Thank you, Mayor. No report this evening.
Consent resolutions and resolutions of the governing body.
Thank you, Mayor. Be it resolved that the following resolutions herewith listed by consent, having been considered by the governing body of the Borough of Waldock, are hereby passed and approved. 2020-220, approval of consent. 2022-221, approval of minutes, regular meeting and closed session meeting, May 24th, 2022. Policy votes, A. Melissa Agugliero requests to hold a block party on August 6th from 3 to 9 p.m. on Highwood Avenue between Cortlandt Street and Summit Avenue with alcoholic beverages being served. B. Megan McNamee requests to use Pavilion A on July 7th from 4:30 to 6:30 for a birthday party with alcoholic beverages being served. C. Caitlin Gilmore requests to use Pavilion A on July 17th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a birthday party with alcoholic beverages being served. D. Richard Rykowski requests to use Pavilion A on July 23rd from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. for a birthday party with alcoholic beverages being served. E. Nicole McNamara requests to use Pavilion B on July 23rd from 2 p.m. to dusk and July 24th from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. with alcoholic beverages being served. F. Andrew Crissa, 7 Breeley Crescent, requests to replace a chain link fence with a 6-foot-high wooden fence, which will be partially located on a 1-foot-wide drainage easement. G. Waldwick Golden Club requests permission to utilize the Waldwick Municipal Pool for water aerobics program for seniors on Tuesdays and Fridays from 11:30 to 12. H. Waldwick Football Club requests to use Veterans Park Field from August 15th to November 20th. Mondays 4:30 to dark, Tuesdays 4:30 to dark, Wednesdays 4:30 to dark, Saturdays 1 p.m. to dark, and Sundays 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And approval to add light tower for October through November with certificate of insurance to follow. I. Waldwick Soccer Association requests to use Veterans Field from August 22nd to December 4th, Thursdays from 4:30 to dark, Friday 4:30 to dark, Saturday 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m., and Sundays 12:30 p.m. to dark. J. Waldwick Chamber of Commerce requests to turn the town teal for the month of September for Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. K. Removal of Evan Marcanese as a senior member of the Waldock Fire Department he moved out of town. L. Removal of Donald Fearon as a senior member of the Waldock Fire Department as voted on by members of the fire department. I'd like to add policy vote M, which is the approval of a drainage connection of a property located at 163 West Prospect Street to an easement located at 27 Lindbergh Parkway, with approval of both property owners to the satisfaction of the borough administrator. 2022-222, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the improvements to Hudson Avenue. 2022-223, award a fair and open contract to DS Meyer Enterprises LLC for improvements to Frederick Street and Harrison Avenue in the amount of $207,966.43. 2022-224, award a fair and open contract to D&L Paving Contractors for improvements to East Prospect Street, Phase 1 and 2, in the amount of $404,726.76. 2022-225, award a fair and open contract to Cliffside Body Corporation for the Monroe Loader Grader Snowplow in the amount of $43,097.24. 2022-226, award a non-fair and open contract to Coaster Associates for upgrades to the Wyckoff Avenue Booster Station in the amount of $18,900. 2022-227, award a non-fair and open-end contract with RF Reveille Construction Corp. In an amount not to exceed $25,000. 2022-228, authorize liquor license renewals for the 2022-2023 season. 2022-229, approval of raffle license number 2022-04 for the Waldock Lions Club. 2022-230, approval of rules and regulations for the Waldock Goose Patrol. 2022-231, appointment of Clerk 1. 2022-232, appointment of 2022 pool lifeguards and assistant swim coach. 2022-233, appointment of laborer 1. 2022-234 is not used. 2022-235, appointment of clerk 1 for recreation. 2022-236, appointment of clerk 1 for recreation. 2022-237, appointment of police officer. 2022-238, authorizing refund of permit fee. And 2022-239, payment of vouchers.
You have a motion and a second to accept. Motion by Councilman Shalero, second by Councilman Ritchie. On the question.
Mayor, I just wondered if we could get a little more information from our administrator on the appointment of the police officer.
Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. So we have a police officer position open due to the resignation of a police officer. We went through the civil service process, calling for a list of eligibles. We received 10 eligibles for appointment from the civil service list. We mailed out to all of them. 6 of them responded that they were interested. One of them subsequently removed their name from consideration. We interviewed all 5 interested candidates, and due to civil service, there's a rule of 3 where you can appoint anybody in the top 3. We were fortunate to have excellent candidates, and we chose one candidate here in the top 3. The name of the individual is Matthew Palmieri. He's a Waldock resident.
Anyone else?
I have a few, Mayor, if you
Yes,
will.
go ahead.
For clarification, the clerk had read into the record a policy vote for drainage easement. It's an interesting situation where the drainage easement that currently exists is on a rear property immediately bordering the person with a drainage issue. So the way that the policy vote reads is that both property owners have to agree to this. That hasn't been done yet, but because this property has encountered substantial flooding recently, we'd ask at least that the mayor and council approve this request, so long that both property owners submit to me their approval for the project to my satisfaction. On the 2022-230 approval of rules and regulations for the Waldwick Goose Patrol, we're still working out some finer points of the rules and regs and the hold harmless agreement. There won't be any changes substantially to the rules and regs and hold harmless that were provided to you, but I ask that the mayor and council give me some discretion in minor changes to those rules and regs after you approve them, and obviously I'll give you a copy of the final regs. On 2022-233, we withheld the name of the person to be appointed. This person has been on the DPW in 2 local municipalities. We're fortunate that they are interested here. They had served in the previous capacities in part-time or full-time, but not permanent positions. So we're fortunate to get this person here for a full-time permanent position. The name of the individual is Norbert Kazuba. And on, is that the last one? Yep, and that's the last one, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Can you just tell me on 2022-226, Patrick, what is the Wyckoff Avenue Booster Station?
So we have a booster station and 2 holding tanks in Wyckoff on Wyckoff Avenue. So if you drive up the hill into Wyckoff on the left-hand side, that's our booster station. It helps us maintain higher pressure on the west side of town. We have pumps at those locations that pump water from our system into those tanks. They are right now on drives that are just on-off, and they're also nearing the end of their useful life. They need to be replaced. So we'll be replacing / upgrading them. Instead of the devices, replacing them in kind, these will be variable devices, variable speed devices, which help us maintain pressure in the system and how fast we need to pump depending on the levels in the tank. And these are also an upgrade because they will be digital. They'll provide us a lot more reporting, but also ability to tune how they're functioning, whereas the ones we have now that are being replaced are analog. This purchase was funded through the water capital budget that was approved this year, in this same amount.
Okay,
All right?
thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Yes.
On policy vote M, the drainage, are they just trying to put in like a yard drain to basically drain a small ponded area, or are they trying to tie in all their roof drains and storm drainage into this?
Just the yard drains.
Just the yard drain, okay. And then on the appointment of the clerk, I mean, you and I spoke about this a little bit. My initial feeling was we were really increasing the salary significantly from the present position to the upcoming position. You and I talked about a few things. This person's obviously very well qualified. They could potentially take over in the future if and when our esteemed Kelly would like to move down to the shore. I don't know when that is, but
Not anytime
Not for a
soon.
long
not anytime
time.
soon. So that's what I thought you might say. So in the past, a lot of times we've just advertised and filled these positions from outside of the confines of this building. And I'm struggling a little bit with how we need to increase the salary so much. And I'd like to hear what the rest of the council says before we just go ahead and vote on this.
Then pull it from consent.
Yeah, we want to pull it from consent, okay. We can do that, please, thank you. I think that was it. If I had any other questions? Nope, that was it, thank you.
Anyone else? I was going to talk about 2022-231, but I'll wait till after everyone else talks about it. Clerk, kindly take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
I'm going to go to resolution 231. I don't know.
Want to read it?
No.
Okay. Okay, everybody, you've read it, you know all about, you got the resume on Tatiana, and Councilman Bjork, you could start the discussion.
Yeah, no, I mean, she's certainly very well qualified. Kelly, you answered the one question, whether or not, you know, there was going to be any change in the next 4 or 5 years. It doesn't sound like there would be, but is there any reason why this young lady is leaving Allendale that we know of, or wants to leave Allendale?
I could answer that maybe. I think she applied once before for a job here. I can't. Why not?
Because I
think-
don't know. Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I
if
would-
we
I would
inter-
just
if we
submit-
interviewed her and asked her, I think normally you would ask somebody, you know, hey, we would be welcome to have you here, just wondering, you know, why don't you want to work there anymore, maybe? Is it just a salary situation, or is there an issue that we need to know of before
Yeah.
we just go ahead and hire the person?
Yeah, I can speak briefly to it.
Thank you.
This is a Waldwick resident who is excited to be returning to Waldwick to work here. And I think that from my understanding and my interview with her, which Kelly was a part of, that was the overriding reason for applying to the position and ultimately accepting the position.
Okay, and in terms of present salary there versus the salary we were proposing, can you comment on that?
I do know that the person that we had submitted for consideration, because they desire this position as much as they do, they had considered a reduction in their salary from their.
From what they're making over now, okay. And then Kelly, obviously, you know your office better than I would ever know it, and I know there's a lot of work to be done there, but we pay a lot of money for everybody working there, and I just need to be sold a little bit on, you know, why is this the person we need, and what's the difference between what she's gonna do and what the previous employee did? I know,
I'm not sure where you want me to begin. She is hands down the person we need for this position and somebody we should have considered last time she came. If you're going to have less people in an office, then you need to have the people in place that are going to give 100% and are going to do things correctly. She comes in with 7 years of experience in the clerk's office, and she can hit the ground running and knows exactly what needs to be done, and can also do special project, and is also going to be helping the DPW. So we're kind of getting a 2-for-1 here. I have no doubt that she is hands down 1,000 times better than what I've been working with in the past 4 years. Accuracy, I don't even know where to begin.
I understand. Yeah, I know there's been some frustrations with the current position, and obviously this would be a major improvement, and, you know, just again, the increase in salary I needed to be sold on a little bit, but you've explained yourself very well. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mayor, you said you had some
Yes,
comments on this?
I know of this person. I know her a long time. She comes from a very caring environment. She always wanted to come back to Waldwick, as Patrick said, and work, and I think that's what she's doing. Taking a little less in salary means she's really dedicated to being a person who wants to work here in the borough. And I think that Allendale's loss is Waldwick's gain, and I think she's the right person to help Kelly bring a different type of environment into the clerk's office. Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'll just say, you know, I think we've kind of adjusted our expectations for this position versus what we got from the previous employee. I think we have really high expectations. It's an important part of the operations of the borough, and I think we need someone there who could really make a contribution. So if that's what it costs to get that person, then I'm okay with that salary.
Paul, you have something to say?
Yes, I was been talking to the administrator about the same situation, and as Greg, you're in the private industry also, and I've been doing a lot of hiring lately at my private industry, and salaries are going up, especially with inflation and people switching jobs. And it sounded like the administrator explained to me that she came in asking for a pretty good amount more than what she agreed upon, which leads me to believe that she really wants to work in Waldwick. So you're not only getting a person with a lot of experience, but you're also getting a person with that really wants to work here. And that's a very good combination for getting a person that is going to help Kelly out. She does a wonderful job, Kelly, and this is going to make her do her job even better. So I'm in favor of it.
Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you. I do appreciate Councilman Bjork's questions. You know, everyone's entitled to ask questions and get the information that they need, and, you know, he was satisfied with the responses, so I do appreciate you asking a question. I am in favor of this hire. In my opinion, she has a beautiful resume, and I'm very happy to have her sitting at that desk and being an asset to our employees. So I wish Tatiana the best of luck in your new position.
Anyone else? Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Don, second by Paul. Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Ms. Saracola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
This time we'll be doing our public hearings. Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2022-16?
Ordinance number 2022-16, bond ordinance to authorize the undertaking of various water system treatment improvements in, by, and for the water utility of the Borough of Waldwick in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to appropriate the sum of $5 million to pay the cost thereof, to authorize the issuance of bonds to finance such appropriation, and to provide for the issuance of bond anticipation notes in anticipation of the issuance of such bonds.
Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? Sir.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, for quite some time, we've been talking about this project. This is the water filtration system for our entire borough, our entire water utility. And essentially, there are many parts that have gone into making this a reality over the past year plus. This is the important part that is funding for the project. So sometime early last year, the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank started putting out information about financing for projects such as this. There's a lot that goes into this project. This ordinance tonight specifically talks about the funding. It's requesting funding for more than we're anticipating the project to cost. We're also hopeful to get funding from other sources still, even though we're moving forward. But this is what our administrator and our staff have recommended that we pursue at this point. It doesn't mean we're going to spend the full amount, but we have that much available to us should it be required and should the other funding sources not become available.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Administrator, can you, you may have said this once before, but can you tell us the reason why it went from the amount we anticipated and it's gone up substantially? Just to remind everybody why it went up.
Thank you, Mayor. So a big part of this is because of just the cost of materials has gone up. There is a lot of pipe, a lot of metal, a lot of manual labor that goes into this. So that is the biggest driver. There's also some cushion in here that I think is a healthy amount of cushion, especially given the unknowns. Large project, there'll be 6 sites that they're working in. So there's a lot of underground for them to go through. So we want to make sure that we have the funding available. And then the last piece is going through funding with the iBank. Well, amounts can kind of change. It's a process to get approval from the iBank because What the mayor and council understand, maybe the public doesn't, is that we typically borrow money just with a bond ordinance, so prepared by our bond counsel, and the borough goes out for financing directly at the market. For this ordinance, we have received approval from the New Jersey Infrastructure Bank, which receives money through a state revolving fund to loan out to municipalities for these types of process. And it's a much more intensive vetting process. And so that makes it a little harder to kind of go back to the well a couple times. So for that reason, we've increased it to $5 million. Hopefully, we don't spend it all. We're still subject to public bidding laws, so we will use the lowest responsible and responsive bidder. There's no doubt about that. And that will ensure that we get the best price for the goods that we're receiving, and any money that's unspent will be canceled off.
And you are going to be saving some money because of the one that's already there, or the one that we lease? I guess we lease.
Yes, we lease it. So we will save some on well 6, which is at Veterans Park. We installed a temporary treatment system that's a large, about 20-foot vessel that's over there for treatment. Since last year, we've been leasing the vessel that's there. It couldn't be paid for in a bond ordinance because a lease isn't a permanent asset of the municipality. When we entered into that lease, we negotiated with the provider, who's Calgon, for a lease-to-purchase option. So we will see the benefit of the lease payments we made through our current fund, non-borrowed money, when we permanently purchase and finance that vessel at Well 6.
Anyone else? Yes.
Patrick, also the recent acquisition of the easement line is going to eliminate some of the potential additional costs that the buffer is going to allow us between the 3.5 and the 5 million. Is the intent to probably put it out to bid as one project, or do you think as they get ready, we'll go, well house to well house, or
It'll go one project.
it will go one project?
Yep.
All inclusive?
One big project, all inclusive. And since you brought up HCA Park, the payment of that easement, the $32,700, will be paid for from this order.
Right, and this, knowing that that's a known entity now, eliminates some of the unknown that we could potentially be up against. And we hopefully, as Don said, we'll see some of this money never used.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay, I close the council's comments and open up to the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read?
Ted Sanzo, 9 Kennedy, excuse me. If you don't spend the money, did we already borrow the 5 million?
No.
You just get it as you need it?
You don't get it as you need it. So the process with this money will be the same as process with any bond ordinance that is passed by the mayor and council. This is an authorization to borrow. This doesn't approve any actual spending, right? So it just gives us the authorization. We will still go out to bid for the construction portion of this. That'll be charged to this, and at that point, usually towards the end of the project or after the end of the project, we'll go for permanent financing, where we have the borough is fortunate to have enough cash flow to where we can balance our books without having to go out to borrow money right away.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Anyone else? I close the public's comments and call for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading, and that the clerk be authorized to advertise it in local legal newspapers as required by law. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Mr. Bjork, second by Mr. Schatz. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Ms. Saracola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Don, did you ever do that?
How you break a microphone?
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
And Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Okay. Would the clerk please read ordinance number 2022-18?
Sure. Ordinance number 2022-18, an ordinance amending Chapter 97 zoning, Section 67.10, street names, to include preference to naming of streets after deceased Waldwick veterans.
Anyone from the council would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read? We talked about this at our last meeting when we introduced it. What this is saying is that when a new street is developed in Waldwick, we will look to a deceased veteran who died in the line of duty or service to have the street named after that person. When the new street came in here, that's off of Monroe, we went through the records and we found out that there was a Civil War veteran who was never honored by us. We didn't even know he existed until a member of the American Legion came forward and did a search and a survey about this, and then we found out and we put his name on the monument that's in front of the Police Officer Christopher Goodell Public Safety Complex. So the street we're saying now is that when this happens, we will name it after a deceased veteran. Kelly and I went through the list. We have the list of the veterans that are on the list who are deceased, who have not been honored yet. And if we ever have to do this again, we will go to that list. Anyone else from the council? Yes.
Yeah, I am greatly in favor of this ordinance. I just still have a problem with the wording in the beginning where it says a deceased Waldwick veteran, as opposed to in the body of it, it does mention a service member who lost their life during wartime. I feel it says two different things, and I would hate to see it open to interpretation, and although all veterans are deserving of such an honor, I feel a soldier killed in action is different than a veteran. But
Would you like me to? So, the way this will affect our borough ordinance, the title of the ordinance is what you're concerned about, that it doesn't specifically include veterans who lost their life during wartime. That won't be adopted into our code, right? So it's passed by the mayor and council, but that's just the title. The actual code change is everything you see under 97-67.10 street names. So that when you go to Chapter 97, Section 67.10, you're going to see deceased veterans who lost their life during wartime. You won't see any of the title.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that explanation.
The title, maybe the omission of that in the title is for brevity and brevity alone.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? If not, I close the council's comments and open up to the public. Anybody from the public would like to comment on this ordinance that was just read?
John.
Yep.
Good job.
Put it back on now. There you go.
There's no off and on button here.
Go ahead.
I'll stand back.
That's right.
John Vervoort, 34 Leonard Drive. I'm also the commander of the VFW. I really appreciate your comments, Councilwoman Sherman, because that was a question that I had, because I think our fallen heroes are very deserving of this, but when I die,
It's not Mike.
when I die, I don't think you should name a street after me. But our fallen heroes definitely deserve it. And
We can hear you fine. for what it's worth.
as the
You can talk loud.
He's going to change the mic.
as the commander of the VFW post here in town, when it was announced that this proposal was announced at the Memorial Day Parade, it was unanimously endorsed by all the members of the VFW post 1049 in town. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? If not, I close the public's comments and ask for a motion and a second to pass this ordinance on second reading, and that the clerk be authorized to advertise in the local legal newspapers as required by law. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Mr. Sherman, second by Mr. Ritchie. Clerk, please take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Ms. Saracola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
You didn't say me, yes.
Whisper into it.
Kelly, you didn't say myself, yes.
I did, I'm sorry. I
didn't
I
hear.
thought you said yes. Okay, Mr. Schatz,
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Yes.
And Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
When you
Sorry.
talk, step back a little bit and talk loud, please. Okay, introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk read ordinance number 2022-19?
Ordinance number 2022-19, an ordinance authorizing the Borough of Waldeck to enter into a lease agreement with the Waldeck High School Graduation Ball, Inc. for use of the old DPW complex.
A motion and a second is in order to move this ordinance on first reading and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 PM or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Sherman, second by Mr. Schatz. On the question, this is something that we do every year. It's an agreement that we set up with the incoming graduating class. And what we do is we give them the use of the old DPW building. There's rules and regulations that everyone follows. We sign off on it, they sign off on it, and they start their graduation ball program to bring everything into the school, eventually a couple of days before the graduation. Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2022-20?
Ordinance number 2022-20, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2022-12, Section 2, annual salaries for other officials and employees to change the administrative executive session clerk 1 salary range to $40,000 to $65,000. The fire department section, fire police with hourly rate of $15. Section 3, add part-time title of seasonal help with hourly rate of $11.90 to $17.
Motion and a second is in order to pass this ordinance on first reading and that it be advertised in local legal newspapers required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 PM or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Do I have a motion and a second? Motion by Ms. Sherman, second by Mr. Shalero. On the question, Mr. Shalero.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, and you know, we've done this a couple of times this year. We have to have an ordinance in place identifying the salary range for each employee in the borough, and we periodically have to update them and revise them to keep them current. So we are making another change this evening just to do that. I'm not sure about, you know, we talked about the clerk's position. I'm not sure about the other positions, if there's anything pending, but, you know, it's spelled out pretty clearly there. We're just adjusting the potential salary ranges for these positions.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, can I
Yes.
ask Kelly a quick question? Is there another level for the clerk that goes above that? It says clerk 1 is this range. What happens if she goes above that? Is it okay to keep that?
No.
Just-
Go ahead.
Yeah, adopt the new range.
You'd have to- Yeah, you have to adopt a new range.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right now, there's no new range.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
wanted to know if there was another range.
Yeah, no, nope, that's it.
Anyone else? Clerk, take the roll, please.
Mr. Bjork?
Yes.
Ms. Sericola?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Schatz?
Yes.
Mr. Shalero?
Yes.
Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
Would the clerk kindly read ordinance number 2022-21?
Ordinance number 2022-21, an ordinance to repeal and replace Chapter 97-120 Affordable Housing Controls.
A motion and a second is in order to move and pass this ordinance on first reading and that it will be advertised in local legal newspapers as required by law, setting a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight's meeting at 7:30 PM or soon thereafter as the matter may be reached. Do you have a motion and a second? Motion by Don, second by Mike. On the question.
Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So this ordinance, this was part of the affordable housing settlement with Fair Share Housing that all the municipalities across the state did. We're doing some cleanup. We have a couple compliance issues that we're just trying to get all cleaned up, hopefully within the next couple of months. And this was one of them that was brought up. There's some changes that just need to be made to the ordinance to comply. I'll just real quickly, one is to remove